Welcome everybody to Go Local Live. I want to thank you for tuning in. The governor is just completing a press conference over at the administration building. We had Dr. Michael Fine on earlier today. The big news out of the governor's press conference, the first big news is another 10 or so new cases today. We've seen a 100% jump in the last 48 hours. Not unexpected. Joining with me is Cortney Nicolato. She is the president and CEO of the United Way, and on the front lines of helping people across the state deal with this healthcare and economic crisis. Courtney, thanks so much for joining us.
Josh, I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with you. United Way's had a service for folks in the state that people can ask questions, look for guidance, ask for help. Let's talk about that and what you've seen in the amount of volume that folks have been hitting the 211 with. Are you there?
Nope, lost you. I think I have you back.
Okay, great. Let me re-ask the question. 211, what's the volume?
So 211, as everybody knows, is a 24/7, 365 call center here in Rhode Island. We usually serve 170,000 Rhode Islanders every year, available in 200 different languages. Our call volume has escalated and then some to about 400 additional calls each and every day. These calls from Rhode Islanders, many have lost their jobs already or have been laid off and really need access to resources. We have nonprofit organizations who are struggling to be able to serve the unbelievably growing population of folks that need services from our nonprofit community. This is everything from housing to rent supports to food access to helping folks put them at ease to really understand how can they not be able to see their family members who are in nursing homes. You name it, we are getting the phone calls right now. So we have a pretty keen understanding of what the needs are of Rhode Islanders today, primarily because of the phone calls that we get through 211.
Unemployment claims and TDI filings total, I think, a little more than 26,000 new filings in the past 10 days. I believe that's an all-time record, certainly since I've been around. The implications for 26,000 losing their job and needing, unemployment benefits don't get you all the way there in most people's lives. What's the implication for that for folks that need?
There's a lot of different resources that are out there. We're trying to load our nonprofit organizations with more tools in their toolbox to be able to provide additional resources. This is where people are making really hard decisions. Can they afford their medications for the month? Can they afford their rent for the month? Does their kids have the right things that they need to be distance learners? These are all new things, and at the same time, they're struggling because they have been laid off or have lost their job. And Rhode Islanders, many were struggling before COVID-19 happened. And the big challenge is what type of resources we can provide. One example is the Good Neighbor Energy Fund. This is available for folks who need utility assistance. We have leaned or eased the restrictions of Good Neighbor Energy Fund. So if you call 211, you can get information. If you've already received Good Neighbor Energy Fund once this year, we have eased it so that you can receive it twice this year. So there's a number of different things that as nonprofits, we're trying to make sure that we have resources or access to resources to be able to help the sector.
Courtney, at 400 additional calls, and that number in all likelihood going to be growing over the next few months. How does United Way keep up with that level of pace to be able to meet the demand of answering the phone and responding?
Well, besides the fact that everyone at what we call Team United is absolute rock stars, above and beyond that, we have, yes, there's no question. We are rocking our team. I'm so impressed by my team each and every day because, they're trying to figure out what's going on with their families and schools and all of that. But at the same time, their priority is making sure that Rhode Islanders are taken care of. And so we have a great team. We have the ability to expand our team. We have non-211 United Way team members who have been formally trained to provide support. So we do anticipate those numbers growing, and we're making sure that we're staffing up to accommodate. We are trying to answer the phone call, every phone call, as soon as it comes in, because we know when you've called 211, there's a level of stress, there's a level of anxiety, and there's a level of fear that we want to make sure that we're trying to support.
Let's talk about the major initiative United Way and the Rhode Island Foundation announced, don't hold me to it, Monday or Tuesday of this week. It started with the announcement of $1.5 million raised. I believe that number, the last time I saw it, had already jumped to $2.3 million. Can you give us an update on that initiative as well?
Sure. So the COVID-19 Response Fund is a fund that's been jointly co-created by the Rhode Island Foundation and the United Way, specific to support what I call the heroes, the men and women in the nonprofit who are supporting Rhode Islanders. And so we know that many Rhode Island nonprofits have had to cancel events, which is a primary way for them to fundraise and meet their revenue and income goals. But also we know that they're providing additional supports like these utility assistance and housing assistance and various food and different resources that they're making available to Rhode Islanders. And so co-creating this fund, which is about at $3.5 million raised as of earlier today, is focused on giving the resources to the nonprofit sector, one, to make sure that they can operationally meet the needs of their organization. Many of them weren't prepared to remote work and provide the same level of services, as an example, but also for direct assistance to the clients that they so bravely and humbly serve. And so that grant process and applications will go out either late today or first thing tomorrow morning for nonprofit organizations. And our goal is to get dollars out into the community as early as this time next week.
For the average Rhode Islander, the average small business person who's doing okay, nervous, worrisome, how can they help the community right now?
That's great. Great question. And what we hope to do, we would love for any company or individual to give to the COVID-19 Response Fund at the United Way. There's a number of different things that you can do. You can text the word RI COVID-19, all one word, no spaces, to the number 51555. You can give your gift by using that text message method. Additionally, you can go to our website, which is uwri.org, and our website has all the information on how to give. If you're a company, you can reach out directly to our development team, and on the website is details on how to reach them, and we're more than happy to talk to you about a gift to the fund. It's critically important. 3.5 I often say sounds like a whole lot of money, but it will go quick to the needs of the Rhode Island community, because this crisis is affecting so many people at the same time. And so we do need an all hands on deck support for the fund at large.
Let's talk about the nonprofit community. It's a big employment sector in the state of Rhode Island. Everybody's been well aware of what the implications of this crisis is for the travel industry and hospitality, restaurants, bars, but it's going to have implications really across all business sectors. Talk a little bit about, listen, most people work at a nonprofit, do it out of pure love. They're wildly passionate about the issues that they're working on. They're not particularly well paid, especially line item folks. What's the implications to this crisis to the nonprofit community here in Rhode Island?
I often say when the Rhode Islanders or the community is falling, it's the nonprofit community that's picking them up. And that is so unbelievably true to what's happening with COVID-19. The nonprofit sector is 18% of the Rhode Island workforce. 70,000 Rhode Islanders work in the nonprofit sector. This is a considerable and needs to be a very a sector that is paid attention to because of that. And quite often it is in crisis when the nonprofit sector is lifting up. There is no rest for the weary. We are not, you may see me in my home office, but I've been on phone calls for the last 5 days straight, day and night. And this is every nonprofit in our community that are providing basic needs to the Rhode Island community. And so this is our time to stand up, but our nonprofit sector struggles, just as much as everybody else. We have folks who, as a sector, we need to support, especially, and it is the folks who are in, our entry-level positions in the nonprofit sector. Similarly, like you would find in hospitality and in various different other industries, it is our job that, to ensure a livable wage is present for all individuals in Rhode Island. And this is such a great example of why that's so important.
Obviously, I think some money will get directed to sort of those frontline efforts to combat the issue of poverty and homelessness. But the second tier, critical elements of our community, the arts community, things like that, may get lost a little bit in the shuffle of this crisis. Not only is Trinity shutting down or other arts organizations closing their doors and losing that income, but correspondingly, some folks may not think of them first when making a charitable donation. How do we help sort of the entire universe?
Yeah, great question. And, coincidentally, this was not obviously planned by any way, shape, and form, but the United Way about a year ago planned a statewide giving day called 401 Gives, and it happens to be this year on April 1st. So it is in just a few days. And this is a day to recognize your favorite nonprofit that means the most to you. You can go on to 401gives.org starting on March 25th, and you can pre-plan any gifts that you want to make and to your favorite groups, whether that's the Avenue Concept or a Trinity Rep, or your child's private school, or your organization like Meals on Wheels that are serving the seniors and older adults in the state. You can give to any of your favorite organizations on 401 Gives. Our hope was, before everything that was happening, to raise $1 million. We have 400 local nonprofits who are participating. I'm still believing in the Rhode Island community that that's capable of being done, but it's the 401 Gives Day is as critically, even more critically important to the community as it was just a few weeks back. We've had lots of nonprofit organizations come and say, tell me you're still having 401 Gives. We need this as a venue, a virtual venue to fundraise. So 401gives.org will give you all the information, and you can look up your favorite nonprofits.
We'll embed all these links and all these phone numbers for everybody to be able to access as well. Lastly, for those really in, listen, there was a significant portion of Rhode Island's population who were in some level of distress before this hit, either from financial reasons, healthcare reasons, or mental health reasons. What can you offer as solace, and how best should they navigate this? Is it a call to 211?
It is. 211 really can be and should be your front door to social services in the state of Rhode Island. I want to make sure one of the things that I know is the fear of picking up the phone. There is a sense of pride when you pick up the phone and worry and anxiety. Please know you are going to be talking to a 211 man or woman who is going to be compassionate and caring and kind. They just want you to succeed. They just want you to be okay. And so pick up that phone, call 211. There is a wealth of different resources throughout the state. They have access to know where all those are. Let us help you and support you through your journey. Many Rhode Islanders we take the most calls per capita in the country already, and we're really grateful for that folks know that they can turn to 211. And today and for the coming weeks, that is definitely no different.
Cortney, thank you so much for Skyping in with us. We're going to have you back on a regular basis as this issue develops and changes over the course of the next few weeks and months. I want to thank you and thank everybody at United Way for all their hard work and help in helping solve the problems of Rhode Island's challenges. For everyone, stay tuned. There's more coming up today. As we've said, Dr. Fine was on earlier. The governor's just concluded her press conference. President of the United States had his daily briefing earlier today. And stay tuned. This is an ever-changing, morphing crisis of both health and economic implications. We'll be doing everything we can to cover it as completely as possible. Courtney, thanks again.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.